Hi, it's Nell, and thank you for joining me at my work table. Today it's all about a DIY succulent and cactus mix, which I've been promising for a while. So if you are curious as to what the recipe is, stick around because you're going to find out how to make your own succulent and cactus mix. I upload videos on a regular basis here at YouTube once a week, so be sure and come back and hit subscribe if you like videos about gardening, succulents, planting, pruning, houseplants, all that stuff, because I would love to have you subscribe and come back and watch some more videos. So I've got my props here, my epiphytic cactus and my desert cactus, which are blooming because it's spring, because I'm just going to have bags of ingredients to put in here, which isn't all that attractive. So I thought it'd be nice to have a couple of plants on the table. And this one is in a pot with no drain hole. I did a video about it, I think about a year and a half ago, and it's still doing great. So there are quite a few recipes online for you to follow. You can buy succulent cactus mix online. You can buy it in a garden center. I have always tried to buy mine from a succulent and cactus type nursery because many of them will formulate their own. In Santa Barbara, I used to buy most of my succulent and cactus mix from the California Cactus Center in Pasadena. Now in Tucson, I've been buying Tanks brand, but I went to see my friends at EcoGrow, which is a really cool plant store for plant freaks like us. And they were out of Tanks, so they had their own blend, which apparently, I don't know if I'm going to get this right, apparently they do for Tanks also. It's something like that. But this recipe comes via EcoGrow, via Mark Dimmitt, who is a botanist here in town, has a lot of plants, and I read an article about him once and it called him an obsessive botanist, and I thought, okay, well, that's my kind of recipe. Okay, so I'm not extremely versed with this, recipe, so I have it written down. They shared this handout with me. They also have a seed mix and they have a tree mix. Anyway, so this is called the Mad Mix for succulents and cactus. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm going to show you the ingredients right now. So here are the ingredients for the mix. We have Elamite, which is a mineral which promotes all over plant health, especially the roots. Vermiculite, agricultural limestone. Then we have the cocoa and fiber block. And then this is the cocoa peat brick. I usually use this one here when I'm planting, but because the recipe calls for them both, I'm going to do that. Oh, and I don't think I showed you the pumice, the big chunks of pumice that are really going to aid in the drainage. And what the agricultural lime does, it just corrects the soil acidity, and it also helps to replace calcium, and it adds magnesium, and all that good stuff. It's oftentimes used with lawns. Alrighty, I will also have this recipe in the blog post too. So it's 6 scoops of cocoa chips and fiber, 1 scoop of the cocoa peat, 4 scoops of the pumice, a fair amount of pumice, to aerate and to provide the drainage, half a scoop of the vermiculite, and half a cup of ag lime and elamite. Now I'm going to have to ask them the next time I'm in there if it's half a cup each or half a cup combined. I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'd rather do that than have too much, so I'm going to do half a cup of the ag lime and the elamite combined. And that is the mixture. That is it. And on these bricks it says soak in water to expand, use dry or wet. I always soak it in the water, and then the first time, of course, right after I've soaked it, I use it damp, and then it dries up and I use it that way. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I was unable to successfully break apart the cocoa peat brick, so I just, put it in whole. But the one that has a fiber in it too, the one I usually use, you can easily break apart. So now I'm going to hydrate them. Time for the watering. So all you do is you pour some over. I'm probably going to have to get some more because this isn't a huge watering can. But that's the idea. And now I'm going to go finish pruning some bougainvillea and then come back when this is hydrated. But as I said, I'm going to have to add a little bit more water to it. And I must say, when I first got here and I started using this local mix, and I thought cocoa fiber and cocoa chips, that's really, really weird. But the cacti and the succulents seem to love it. I have lived here for almost 3 years now. Holy moly! How time does fly. And so mine are all doing well. I'm going to take you on a little tour after this, just so you can see some of my plants. Okay, so I moved the plants off the table just so this would be more visible, and also so I wouldn't knock them off the table. And this is what the cocoa chips and the fiber looks like. It's nice and chunky. It's all, come apart beautifully. And it's damp, but not too wet. And then this is the cocoa peat. And it looks just like peat moss, but it's a much more environmentally friendly alternative to peat moss. So let's see. So I need 6 scoops of the cocoa chips and fiber, and I'm doing this as my scoop. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 6 in here. Okay, so the pail that had the chips and the fiber in it, or has the chips and the fiber, has a crack in the bottom, so the table's all wet. Oh well. Okay, so then we have a scoop of the cocoa peat, and next we have 4 scoops of the pumice. Ooh, I love these big chunks of pumice. Uh-oh. Don't breathe it. It's a good thing the wind is blowing the other way. 2, 3, oops, and 4. Okay, that's in there, and now we have half a scoop of the vermiculite, which means it's going to be half of the bowl. Oops. Oops. I'm like the mad scientist here. I'm sure it's not like you have to be exact, but okay. Okay, so there's half a scoop of that, and then I'm going to do half of a cat food can because it says half a cup. So I'm using this is half a cup. This is the Elamite. It's just like baking a big cake. Yay, yay, yay. And then half a cup of this here. A big old succulent and cactus mix cake. Oh, doesn't that sound good? And that's all there is to it. And then you just, mix it up and you mix it really well. And that, my friends, is the succulent and cactus mix that I'm going to be making and using from now on. So I have my mad mix all going on here, and I just went ahead and added in the rest of the pumice because I only had like 3/4 of my scoop. And what scoop you use is relative to, it's relative to what you want to use. Just be sure to stick with the portions. At EcoGrow, they have a big old soil scoop. It's a big old silver soil scoop, so that's their scoop. You could use a large yogurt container. I used a bowl. That's my scoop. So just do things in proportion to that. But it would probably be, their scoop is probably like a large, yogurt container. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir it up well. It's nice and chunky. The Elamite and the lime seem to be distributing beautifully. And now I need to get some more pumice because I'm going to have to make about 6 more batches of this because I have so much more repotting to do. And now that I have made it for the first time and I see how easy it is, then I will be making my own. And I'll leave sources for you to find these things to buy online. Or if you're in Tucson or near Tucson, you can also go to EcoGrow. They are right off the freeway. As I said, it's a fun place to visit. And those bricks of cocoa fiber and the chips and the cocoa peat are not a lot to store. So it's not like this is huge bags of things. So it's easy. And I also use the chips and the fiber for adding into house plants, for adding it into bromeliads, as adding into a bromeliad mix. I use the chips a lot. It's also good for orchids. Okay, and again, this recipe will be in the blog post. And if I remember, I'll leave it down below too, but I always do a blog post so you can check that. Okay, obviously, this is the way I'm going to have to do it. So I'm just going to scoop it in this bag. And it's a light mix, so you could use like a garbage bag or, the big waste basket or something and keep it in there. And it stores beautifully. As I said, it doesn't weigh too much either, which I love, but just make sure you mix it up well. And it seems to stay really nicely mixed up too. I love that. This was a good cake recipe. So here's a close-up on the mix here. Beautiful, light and airy, yet fortified. And I want to show you how much of the bag is full. It's about to here. So it'll give you an idea of how much that recipe makes. And it was basically one recipe plus maybe 1/5 of the recipe. So for me to fill up that bag, I would probably have to make three recipes or 3 portions. Boy, it's a good thing I'm not a professional baker, huh? Okay, so now, as promised, I'm going to take you around my little garden and show you a few of my succulents and cactus. Not all that many, because I always do the tour around, Christmas time, but I'll just show you a few things now. So here's my relatively newly planted little cactus. I was going to say cactus bowl. It's not. It's in actually a really tall planter, which I like. These will not get too tall. And this one has been blooming. The flowers are closed. They close at night or they're past. And this is looking down on my planter that sits right near my front walkway that's got the golden barrel in it. Love the golden barrel cacti. And this is my variegated elephant's food, which I just planted up just a couple days ago. It's a great hanging succulent. And this is my succulent. This is my succulent planter right by the front door, which I cut it all back I think it was last September. And it's growing back beautifully from all the cuttings that I planted back in. And this is one that I need to plant soon. And if you've watched any of my videos, you recognize my Aeonium arboreum. Leaves or the foliage is currently nice and dark. Here we go, my Opuntia Joseph's coat doing just beautifully. Happy over here. My string of bananas, and on the other side is a string of pearls. I'm just going to show a little bit of it. And I just transplanted my Christmas cactus, which are actually, Thanksgiving cacti. I just did a video on that, so that will be posting soon for you. That's it. How easy was that? It took me much longer to set everything up for filming than it did to take them and make the mix. So I hope you are going to try this out and let me know what you think about the mix. So this was coming straight to you from Tucson, Arizona. DIY succulent and cactus mix. As I said, I'm going to have to make a lot more of that because I have lots of things to pot up. So that's just a drop in the bucket for me. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. I have a lot more videos coming your way about succulents. There's going to be some succulents and cactus in their house plants. Gardening. Actually, I'm just about to film finishing up the pruning of my bougainvillea, which got hit by a freeze or two. So I do that kind of thing. So be sure and come back, please. And I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes. I really appreciate them. Now let's get out in our gardens or into our indoor gardens, because this is an indoor-outdoor succulent and cactus mix, and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.